There's something about the road that makes you believe you've seen it all. After 15 years of driving semis across the country, I thought nothing could rattle me. Flat tires, animal crossings, blizzards in the Rockies. I'd faced it all with calm and grit. But there are stories that no training can prepare you for. Stories that grab you by the spine and never let go. It was late September, one of those still desert nights when the world feels paused. I was on a long-haul route through Arizona, carrying a freight load from Phoenix to Flagstaff. The highway was quiet, the moon casting long shadows on the asphalt, and not another vehicle in sight. The kind of solitude that most drivers crave. Around 11 p.m., I pulled over near a sharp bend in the road to stretch my legs and check the tires. I killed the engine, stepped out, and lit a cigarette. The sky above was scattered with stars, and the only sound was the wind brushing against the desert scrub. That's when I saw her. A girl, standing alone by the roadside, maybe 19 or 20, wearing a pale dress that fluttered gently in the breeze. She wasn't waving frantically, just standing. Like she was waiting for something. I felt an odd chill crawl down my neck. Still, I called out, "Hey, you okay?" No response. I took a step toward her, and she was gone. I shook my head, blinked several times. Nothing but empty desert. No sign of a car, no footprints in the dust. Just me, the road, and the unsettling silence. My rational mind told me it was fatigue playing tricks on me. So I got back in the cab, fired up the engine, and drove on. 20 minutes later, I pulled into a roadside diner, Maggie's Stop. It was one of those old-school joints with neon signs and a bell over the door. I took a seat at the counter, ordered coffee and pie, and tried to shake the image from my mind. The waitress, a woman in her late 50s with kind eyes, noticed I looked shaken. "You all right, hun?" she asked as she refilled my cup. I hesitated, then told her what I'd seen. The girl. The way she vanished. Her face turned pale. She leaned in closer, glancing around like she didn't want anyone else to hear. "You stopped near Dead Man's Curve, didn't you?" I nodded, surprised she knew. She's been appearing there for over 20 years. Locals say her name was Emily. Died in a wreck. Some say she's still trying to get home. I scoffed lightly, but the look on her face made the hairs on my arms stand up. "I'm serious," she whispered. "Truckers like you see her all the time. Some pick her up and never make it to their destination." I left Maggie's Stop more disturbed than I'd admit. It should have ended there, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this. It wasn't just a ghost story told over coffee and pie. I saw her. Back at my motel that night, I opened my laptop and searched Dead Man's Curve, Arizona Girl Ghost. The results stunned me. Dozens of articles, blogs, and forums. Reports going back to the early 90s. People describing the exact same thing. A young woman in a white dress, appearing on that stretch of highway, usually around midnight. Some said she waved, others said she cried, and some said she spoke. One old blog entry from 2004 described a trucker who picked up a girl matching Emily's description. She got in, said nothing, and when he looked in the rearview mirror, she was gone. The details matched. Too well. Her name was Emily Torres, a college student. Her car broke down in the middle of a rainstorm, and she was hit by a speeding truck when trying to flag it down. The driver never stopped. Her body was found 30 yards off the road. After reading that, I couldn't sleep. The air felt heavy, like something had followed me. I tried to forget. I really did. But Emily wouldn't leave me alone. Every time I passed a roadside bend or saw someone hitchhiking, I thought of her. So I did something I shouldn't have. I went back. 1 week later, I took a detour on my next haul and drove through Dead Man's Curve again. This time deliberately, just to prove to myself that it was all in my head. As I neared the bend, the temperature dropped. The sky, once clear, was suddenly cloudy. My windshield fogged up despite the warm air outside. My fingers trembled on the steering wheel, and there she was again, standing at the exact same spot. This time she was closer, her hair matted, her dress dirtier than before, her eyes locked with mine, deep, hollow, filled with pain. I pulled over, breath caught in my throat. Opened the door. "Emily?" I whispered, as if something inside me knew her name. She nodded slowly. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Then she mouthed 2 words. "Help me." The moment I stepped out of the truck, she vanished again. And in her place, a freezing gust of wind and a whisper that chilled me to my bones. Not done. Shaken, I drove straight to the next truck stop, where I met a veteran driver named Hank. Gray beard, eyes like steel, a man who'd seen it all. When I told him what I saw, he didn't laugh or dismiss me. He just nodded, solemn. "You saw her again?" Again. That's when he pulled out a folded photo from his wallet. Faded, worn. It was her. "That's Emily," he said, "my niece." My jaw dropped. He sighed. I begged her not to drive that night. Storm was bad, road slick. She was stubborn, said she'd be fine. She wasn't. His voice cracked as he continued. "For years I've heard the stories. Drivers seeing her, feeling her presence. I think she's looking for closure." That's when it hit me. In my dream, the one I had days earlier. She whispered something. "Tell him I forgive him." I looked at Hank, repeating those words. He turned away, tears silently rolling down his cheeks. After that night, I thought it was over, that I'd somehow helped Emily move on. But a few weeks later, another driver vanished on that same stretch. His rig was found parked along the bend, engine cold, lights off. But inside the cab, scrawled into the dashboard with what looked like a key, were the words, "She's still out there." Now, every time I'm on the road, especially after dark, I keep a photo of Emily taped to my dashboard. A small gesture, a sign of respect. Sometimes in the dead of night, I hear her whisper. Sometimes I see her reflection in the side mirror. Other times it's just the faint chill in the air, like she's still there, watching. So if you're ever driving through Arizona and you see a girl by the side of the road, pale, sad, waving, don't stop, because some rides are one way and some passengers were never meant to be picked up. It started out like any other night on the road. The air was cool, crisp, with a thin veil of mist rolling low over the highway. I had just crossed the Virginia state line into West Virginia. My rig, an old but reliable Peterbilt, 379, hummed beneath me like a loyal companion. It was close to midnight, and the road ahead was empty, just the way I liked it. I'd been hauling loads across the country for over a decade, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's that some of the loneliest roads carry the heaviest silence. But that night felt different. Not terrifying, just off. Like something was watching from the tree line. Earlier at a gas station near the base of a mountain pass, an older man, local from the look of him, gave me an odd warning. "Don't linger too long near Hawks Hollow. Bad luck sticks there," he muttered before walking off. I chuckled then. Just another backwood superstition, right? I wish I had listened. About 10 miles past that gas station, I noticed the CB radio's red power light blinked, even though it was off. I hadn't used it all night, and the dial was firmly turned down. I reached over, tapped it. Nothing. Then the rig's headlights dimmed for a split second before returning to full beam. Thought maybe I'd hit a power dip in the battery. Nothing new on these old roads. But it happened again, then again. Each time the lights flickered just a little longer. That's when I heard it. A low burst of static hissed from the CB, followed by a soft whisper. At first I thought I was just hearing things, late-night fatigue playing tricks on me, but then it turned into something more, a shrill, bone-chilling scream. Like someone was trapped inside the speaker, begging to get out. And the CB was still off. My hands gripped the wheel tighter. I slowed down, scanned the roadside. Nothing but trees, shadows, and a whole lot of silence, until the engine sputtered. A hard jerk. The rig stuttered like it had run out of fuel, only I'd just topped off less than 30 miles back. The dashboard lights blinked, flickered violently. Then, as suddenly as it began, everything stopped. The engine roared back to life. The CB fell silent. My headlights burned steady. The road was still empty. You ever feel the kind of silence that makes your skin crawl? That's what I drove into. I pulled over at the next rest area, needing a moment to breathe. That scream. I couldn't shake it. I kept thinking maybe it was interference, maybe even a prank signal, but something about it felt alive, desperate, wrong. I asked the man behind the counter inside the truck stop diner if he'd heard anything weird over the CB lately. He froze, like I'd mentioned something forbidden. "You passed Hawks Hollow, didn't you?" he said. "That scream. Some say it's the echo of the crash." "What crash?" I asked. He looked around before leaning in, his voice barely above a whisper. "Back in '96, there was a pileup on that same stretch. Fog rolled in fast, too fast. 9 rigs, a couple cars. Bodies burned. Some were never found. Folks say the dead never left that mountain." I didn't want to believe it, but the detail in his voice, the fear in his eyes, it was hard to ignore. Back in my rig, I started digging. Every stop I asked around. Forums, old newspapers, even trucker Reddit threads. And the deeper I went, the more twisted the stories became. People reported seeing ghostly taillights ahead that vanished mid-turn. Others heard screams on their radios. One guy said he saw his own truck reflected in a ditch, upside down and burning, while still driving. I should have stopped digging, but I didn't. 2 nights later, I was back near Hawks Hollow. I don't know what made me return. Curiosity, maybe obsession. Maybe I needed to prove it wasn't real. The weather matched the legend. Thick fog, almost unnatural. It moved like a living thing coiling between the trees. My headlights barely pierced through it. Then came the static. Louder this time. The CB turned on by itself. Red light glowing like an open wound. The scream returned, longer, deeper, accompanied by frantic voices overlapping in pain, confusion. Names, screams, metal crunching. Then I saw it. In the fog ahead, a faint glow of red brake lights. I slowed. Another rig appeared, wrecked, its trailer twisted like a ribbon. I pulled over fast, heart hammering. I ran out, flashlight in hand, calling out. No one answered, but the cab door of the wrecked truck opened by itself. Inside was me, or something wearing my face. Bloody, burned, eyes wide open and staring right through me. I stumbled back. The CB screamed louder from my rig. And then, everything vanished. No truck, no fog, just an empty road. But the fear, it stayed. Back in town, I found a news clipping from that '96 pileup. There was a name listed among the victims, a driver who was never found. Name sounded familiar, because it was mine. Same initials, same company, same rig model, different face. But what chilled me to the bone was the photo. The man's face looked exactly like the burned reflection I'd seen in that wrecked cab. Like a ghost twin from a timeline that never was. That's when it hit me. What if I wasn't meant to survive that night? What if I'd somehow driven into a place where time folded, where tragedy repeats until it claims what's missing? Maybe I wasn't just a visitor. Maybe I was the glitch. I stopped driving that route, but it didn't stop following me. My CB still acts up sometimes, even hundreds of miles away. Static whispers in motel rooms, flickering lights in rest stops, and always, always, the same feeling. Like I'm being watched, like something didn't let go that night. I told myself I was imagining it. But last week a fellow driver messaged me online. He'd passed Hawks Hollow. He said he saw a rig just like mine, burned out, cab smoking. When he looked closer, he swore he saw someone behind the wheel, screaming silently for help. I checked my dashcam footage. At 12:43 a.m., the exact time he said he passed, my rig stopped recording. So tell me, When you're out on a lonely road in the dead of night and the radio starts screaming, even though it's off, do you keep driving? Or do you look in the mirror? Because whatever haunts Hawks Hollow may already be riding with you.